Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And if you saw yesterday's video, you will have seen my small Tuesday morning haul and one of those crafters companion boxes. So from the stencil set that I showed you yesterday, I'm going to be using a sheet of the watercolor cardstock. I'm going to be using these two stencils, which are the dots and the flower. I'm going to be using the set of stamps that came in that kit. I'm going to be using a stamp block, which is an Aliexpress stamp block. I'm going to use VersaFine Claire, and I'm going to use KSCRAFT's, I think this is the flip frame die. It doesn't have to be used like that. You can thread with ribbon and then just hang it on a wall, a door, a closet, wherever you want to put it. That's the joy of crafting. It's yours. You can do what you want. I'm going to be using Distress Oxide in Speckled Egg, Broken China and Faded Jeans. So you can see I'm being a bit blue here, and if I need to prime my stamps, I know it horrifies some, but I use StazOn Jet Black, and all I do is put my stamp in there and coat it in StazOn. I let it dry and it forms a seal on the stamp so that it doesn't bead up with other inks. It does kind of like wear off eventually, and you probably end up using StazOn again, but I can't be bothered to do all the sanding of a surface with a nail file and what have you, so I just use StazOn. If I'm going to be using a different colour ink, then obviously I'll use a stamp cleaner and remove it. Ooh, my throat. And I'm going to be using an ink blender, which is already blued up, so that's absolutely fine by me. Right, so the first thing I need to do is I need to take my die and go and cut out that watercolor cardstock using the largest of these. And I think because there's a butterfly in that stamp set, I'm also going to try and incorporate this bit here, and as it's got a circle and we're also using a dot stencil, that seems like a good idea to me. Right, I'm going to go cut that and I will be straight back. Right, so I've done that, and there is the page flip or the banner, and here is the butterfly and the centerpiece frame that comes in that set. And the first stencil that I want to use is the circle dot one. Now what I want to do is, you can see this has got a lovely embossed edge. Can you see that? I want to stay within that. I'm going to be tidy today for a change. And I don't want to cover up the pierced holes either. So I want my design to kind of like stay within that region. So I'm looking carefully, and then I'm going to have to reposition down here because I don't want it to go over the lace. So I may not use that large one, and I'll just switch the stencil and go over to there. But first up, I'm going to use my Scotch removable tape, which I don't usually use because I have a tendency to let things shift and slide all over the place. But I'm going to be good today. And I have had this stuff for many years, and I've probably had it for many years because I'm never using it. And there goes my phone, right on cue. Isn't that wonderful? And I may have to pause if it phones again, because it'll be my husband. Oh, dearie me. Yeah. Right, so I've got two pieces of Scotch tape now that are going across the stencil and the project onto my mat, and that should basically hold everything in position while I get on with putting the colours into here. And I want to go with Speckled Egg first, and this is a blending tool from AliExpress, and they're exactly the same as anybody else's. I mean, if you want to spend 70 bucks on 10 brushes, that's entirely up to you. I prefer to spend 10, and I'm just picking up just a little bit. Now oxide inks are very saturated, and I've already got one colour of blue on here, so who knows what's going to happen. But let's go in here very gently first. And I do go quiet when I'm inking. You can see that it's created a kind of halo there, so I'm going to be a little bit more heavy-handed. And as some of that other blue starts to come out, it's going to completely change the colour of what I originally put down. Now, I'm also going to do the same for all of my little dots, so I'm just roughly going into those. It's always a good idea to go in one direction and then go in the other direction. That way you usually get rid of that weird looking, sometimes faded line that you can get around a stencil. A little bit more, just tapping it on the ink pad. Going round and round. Doesn't matter if some bits are more faded than others. It all adds to the effect. Now I'm going to do this one here, and then I'm going to lift the stencil and shift it. Let's pick that up. There we go. Can you see? It's really soft and blooming. And this watercolour cardstock is really nice. And so I'm going to decide where I'm going to pop it back down in order to get a nice size circle in there without it looking odd. So I'm going to go there, and then I'll be able to fill that one in. So a little bit of speckled egg again. It's such a pretty colour, this speckled egg. It's hard to describe it. It's like a really soft blue with a tint of green. And I don't know if your ink pads are like mine, but can you see that? I have to constantly wipe them because they just leak out of the edges. It's like the ink is separating, and I don't know, there you go, if it's anything to do with humidity here. If anyone else suffers, do let me know. Right, so that's my palest colour that has gone down first, and now I'm going to remove the dot stencil. The Scotch tape is removable, so I can just take that off and I can use it on my next stencil. I'm just going to pop that over to one side, and now I've got flowers. So I'm kind of like thinking I'm going to go just a shade darker and do some of the elements here, and obviously be a little bit careful about how I'm doing it because I don't want to go outside of my circles. So I'm just going to pop that onto there, and then this one is going to hold it down on the mat, I hope. This side has still got some shift in it, but the stencil is static. Right, next colour is Broken China, and I'm just going to use a piece of kitchen paper to get some of this off. There we go. Now into the Broken China, and I'm going into this bit here first. I just want like a hint of that design going on. And then I'm going to lift it and shift it because now I want to go over here, and I'm going to go with that flower. I don't care if that flower's in the centre or not, actually. So I'm going in one direction, and then I'm going in the other. I'll lift that up. That's quite pretty. It's all soft and ethereal. There's a good word for a Tuesday. Who knows what it means, but it sounds great. No, I do know what it means. Now I'm going to try and fit that leaf into there, and I'm going to use my broken china again, being careful to stay within and just catch just a little bit of that and try and see if I can get a little bit off the edge. Because I'm using stamps as well, I don't really want to overdo it. And we've got this great looking flower here, which I think will just about fit there. Now you see you've got that little bit there, you need to be careful. So I'm going to peel up the easiest bit that I can and just pop that there just to protect it. Go back into my broken china again and dab it this time so that it's not going to go outside of it. So I've got that. And what other shape have I got? I've got this sort of like odd looking spiky tulip shape on here that I quite like. So I'm going to put that one there, I think. Make sure that it's fitting in my circle. And then I'm going to pop that down on there. Because these patterns are quite close together. And more broken china. And I'm going there. Let's have a look at that. That's quite pretty. I will pick this up in a second. And then I've got teeny weeny flowers, so I'm going to use that one there, I think. And you can see there, I've just gone off the edge, which is what I just did not want to do. Can you see? And that spells trouble for me because I don't like it when things like that happen. I might be able to lift it with some water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my stenciling alone at that point, because I can see I'm going to get carried away and I'm going to get myself into trouble. So I'm going to pop the lid on this. I'm going to go onto my paper again. I'm going to remove that. And you can see just how much ink will come off your brush. And because I've done that and I only want it to be soft, I am going to go right on the edge now. Make it all look as if it's on purpose. That's the way you hide a mistake. Own it and use it. So it's really, really pale because I've just blotted off. But now it's all going to look part of the design. So I'm just going all the way around. But you can still see the stenciling because it's so much darker than the than the ink that's left on. I'm going to leave the illuminated bit in the middle, I think. Just go up and down there a few times. It's surprising actually how much ink these brushes hold. And I think the last time I used this may have been a month ago. So, you know, that blue ink that stayed on there while it's just in the pot with all the others is pretty much good to go. So that is what it's looking like at the moment. That tulip, actually, it looks a little bit odd, but when I start stamping, it should kind of like, you know, heal itself. I'm just going to sweep across the middle. I don't want it to be perfect. Right, so what was cream cardstock is no longer cream cardstock. Now, I'm just going to pause for a second while I grab some other stuff and try and make sure that you're not sitting there for too long. So here's a close-up of the darker stenciling over the lighter and then brushing over the whole piece of cardstock, which is actually cream. So that's what we've got. Now I'm going back to my dotty stencil and I'm going to position it right back where it was, I hope. Oh, isn't that weird? Because it kind of like fits there. Let's go off at an angle. There. Now I'm going to pop that down, and I've still got my Scotch tape, because as I said, it will last you for ages. Whenever I do use this, I usually stick it to the top of my die cut machine, you know, if I've been using it to hold down dies. So it's always there. And quite seriously, that Scotch removable tape, I probably had this now for 10 years, and that's how much is left. There's still loads left. Right, now then, the stamps. And you can see that there are some elements within this stamp set which are similar, and you've also got the leaves which are similar, and also daisies. So I'm going to kind of go with that, and I might even use some different colours of StazOn if I want to. It's always scary tearing the back off stamps. There we go. And I am going to go in with the leaf first. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop those off to the edge, and I've got my stamp block here. This stamp block is from Aliexpress, and it's a really, really lovely stamp block. So just to let you know that. Right, now I've got a piece of test cardstock here, because as I said to you before, with brand new stamps, the ink can pool up on them, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to give you a close-up. See, can you see all those little blotches? If I do that, you can watch it, and it will spread apart, and it'll be like you never put any ink on your stamp. And I'll actually stamp that for you so that you can see what a mess that looks. It just doesn't look nice at all. Can you see it? It's all blotchy. Right, so what I do is I come in with my StazOn ink, and I just pop it on there. So that it looks like that. And then just give it a light tap. And you can see the StazOn ink itself is a better quality stamp than this one, and this one is much blacker, and it does give finer detail, but because the stamp is new, it won't. So I've still got StazOn on there, I hope. And now I'm going into my VersaFine Clair, and I'll show you how it stamps now. So if I hold that up, you can see that there is a much better coverage of ink, and I'm going to put that down. See, with StazOn, without StazOn, and that's why I use it. And StazOn, of course, will permanently stain your stamps, which is why I think sometimes a lot of people can be quite horrified about what I'm doing. But I'd rather have a nice looking stamped image than a pretty looking stamp, but that's just me. So I've gone in there 3 times, and I think that's quite sufficient. And then you've got that lovely stenciling of the leaf behind. And now I'm going in for that bubbly one that I showed you, because I think that's going to be kind of a nice reflection of the bubbles that are already in the stamp. So I really like this one. And once again, it's a brand new stamp. So I'm going in with, whoops, everything's sliding. I'm going in with my StazOn first. Just going to coat that. I'll stamp it off just very gently. And then I'll go in with my VersaFine. And I want this in here. And I'm going to do multiples of that as well, just off on the edges. So it's a little bit, I don't know, mixed media, I think is the word for it. Now what I'm going to do is, you can see that I've got flowers here, so I'm going to do those and I'll come straight back. So I finished my playing around with stamping, and I'm deciding I'm going to use some white gel pen just to kind of like highlight the bits that I like in here. So I'm just going to put gel pen wherever I want to. And here I attempted to stamp half of a butterfly unsuccessfully. So I've placed a heart over the bit that I missed, and now just add in some white gel pen spirals to tie in with the spirals that I stamped. So getting just a little bit creative with my gel pen. And then I want to add just a touch to the leaves. Now something like this, as I said, you know, you can hang it on your closet door or what have you, but you can also pop it into a journal. It's entirely up to you. See, I've started putting in some white gel pen just to highlight those bits. And these flowers are a little dark for me, I think. So I'm just going to illuminate bits and pieces and just go around it. If my hand is in the way, I do apologise, but I am going to pick this up when I'm done so that you can have a look at exactly what I've been up to. But it's so therapeutic, stenciling and stamping and whatnot. I just absolutely love it. I mean, I'm always telling you, I craft every single day, and even through Thanksgiving, you know, I do something before I go to bed. Even if I just stamp an image and colour it with pencils, I will absolutely do something every day. If I haven't made something in my day, I don't feel like my day's complete. It's just really weird. But you can see all the little white highlights sort of like helping it to pop up off this this flip frame banner. And now I'm going to do the center of these flowers just with a little tiny white dot just to bring them forward. And whoops, there's one I've missed. And I think I might actually put a little bit more white in those leaves. But can you see how it just helps to lift off the page? I might actually put some more white in the butterfly leaves as well. Butterfly leaves. The butterfly wings. Shows you, doesn't it, where my brain goes? I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm crafting, I just don't really think at all. And quite literally, hours can go by. And I've got myself a method of cooking dinner now. So when my hubby comes in from work, it's everything's just cooking in the oven, and I've had it marinating in a bag in the fridge for a couple of hours, and it's like I made something wonderful when I didn't really. I just had it soaking in herbs and spices. There we go. Pop those little bits in. So you can see all of that, the way it starts to lift off the page. I really love that. That's really, really pretty. I'm going to go over this bit as well because I really want that swirl to kind of stand out. I don't want to make my line too thick either. And I'm going to add some more white into that butterfly. Now, one of the things that you need to do when using white gel pen is be aware of where you've been, because you can smudge it. So you need to be a little bit conscious of that and keeping your hands sort of like raised up a bit, and rest a finger where you haven't been. Just go a little bit into there, highlight the wings just a little bit. And I think that's enough, really. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to be brave and do this really, really thin line along here. And you don't have to go in and just do one straight line that might be a bit wonky. You can just stroke the pen along the edge. And of course, this is my beloved Aliexpress white gel pen. So that is the background, and as you can see, we're already into 25 minutes. Now, I did cut this piece, and when I think about putting it on top, I don't think I'm very pleased with that idea. So I think I'm going to save this for a different project. And Nicole did say that, you know, she makes these little bits that you can use. You could even pop that in a party wand and layer it up with little butterflies. But when the makers make the dies, you have to fill the whole area of the die to get your money's worth. And so as she would have this one made, obviously the smaller one would be in the middle, and then that piece goes into the center so that there's very little waste of material. So that is why you get all these lovely little extras. So that is what I've done, and I'm not going to use that bit, but I think those stamps and those stencils in that box, and I did use that watercolor cardstock, I think that's really, really good value for money. And personally, I'm going to put this into a journal page. I'm not going to hang it on my door because I may get some pan pastels or something and try and cut some circles out for a relief, and then do butterflies behind and make those in full color. And if I do that, I will bring it back and show it to you. But there you go. So if you're going to get one of those Crafters Companion boxes, I really do highly recommend it. There's some awesome stuff to be had in there. Right, now what am I up with tomorrow? Tomorrow I am up with MX Art, and please, if you're entering the competition, do message and put your links below each of the daily videos. I do go along and look, and I just leave the message when I've looked. I just say watched, and I have been watching, and there's some awesome things being made out there, some highly detailed, some very cute, and people are using recycling and all sorts of stuff. So I'm just really, really enjoying that. So MX Art tomorrow, and you have an absolutely wonderful day. As usual, all links below. Bye.